get this started here in just a few seconds. I want to make sure that I get this shared out, number one. And number two, I want to make sure that you can hear me as well. So give me just a moment. We'll get this started in about 30 seconds or so. And I believe that we are, let me see if I can see myself and hear myself as well. Okay, that's a good sign. I do hear it, so that's good. All right, we will start this in about a few more seconds. Again, I am awful at multitasking, but let's see. Alrighty, so let's start it in for a winter weather update. All right, so let's see if I can get that pushed out. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to our digital team. They don't get enough praise. And I just want to say thank you to all that the digital team does, because not only are they make sure that we're taken care of with this weather forecast and make sure that we get it out there on all digital platforms, but also they're dealing with news stuff, they're dealing with sports stuff, I'm sure, and it just doesn't stop for them. So a huge shout out to them. I've been in that seat at an older job of mine, and one of the most stressful jobs I ever had, so I get it. So yeah, I want to say thank you to Ryan, who's helping with this live stream as well. And I'm going to turn up my mic, and maybe you can hear me a little bit better. There we go. All right, and we're just going to jump right into it, because I know there's a lot of questions out there in regards to what is going to happen this weekend. We know that there's winter storm headed our way. We've got a winter storm watch issued for all of Arkansas, and it is going to bring a substantial amount of snow for some of you, especially northern Arkansas, north central Arkansas. Would not be surprised to see at least a foot of snow in that part of the state. And I know we've got a lot of folks in here that are tuning in, maybe from their hometown or their county. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to pinpoint down. I'm going to take this live, and I'm going to try to break it down for very specific areas of the state, so hopefully it'll include your area. All right, so let's go ahead and start it out with the latest forecast track. This is the Euro that we are looking at, one of the many models that we look at in regards to winter weather forecasting. And it's one of the many models that have put a little bit of a wrench in our forecast right beforehand in terms of where we're going to see sleet and heavy snow and where that transition line is going to set up. Winter weather forecasting is one of the most difficult things in meteorology. So just have patience. I know it's, you're probably seeing a huge drastic change in terms of snowfall totals for some certain parts of the state. We've been pretty consistent, though, on saying there's going to be at least a minimum of 6 inches for some parts of central Arkansas. I'm still holding that to be true. I think that we get at least 6, maybe even 7 inches of sleet and snow. It all depends on how much sleet we get, though. That's the key question that we've got to answer over the next 24 hours. But again, as I was saying, I'm pretty confident that northern Arkansas will be seeing a heavy snow. And southern Arkansas, that's where I think sleet and freezing rain. So that's going to be a different story. We're going to watch that very closely in far southern Arkansas and southeastern Arkansas. If we're seeing more freezing rain, which I don't think is going to be the case, but again, I don't want to let anyone's guard down. Freezing rain is a very dangerous, one of the most dangerous precipitation types you can get in winter weather, and it's because it weighs down a lot of the power lines, makes driving treacherous. If I had to choose between driving in snow and driving in sleet, any day of the week, I would choose snow or sleet. Honestly, I think I would choose sleet over snow, though, if I'm being honest. I feel like you get a little bit more traction in sleet because it's those pellets, those ice pellets, So it kind of acts like, it's not the same. It kind of acts like kitty litter. It's still ice, but you get a little bit more of that traction with sleet. So I think that's going to be the case, though, here in central Arkansas. We're going to see a lot of sleet. Where that exactly sets up is to be determined. So I'm going to zoom in into this map here, and we are going to look at this together. And because I want to try to get specific here, I can't get that word out, in regards to what I'm seeing for who and what type of precipitation that we're seeing. So I'm going to zoom in here. Little Rock's a little bit higher than that. Just ignore that. But take this with a grain of salt, okay? You see the pink. Pink is sleet in this case. and it also could mean a mix of sleet and snow. All that blue you see is snow. I think this gets pushed down a little further to the south. I think that we're going to see this big transition line in southern Pulaski County, southern Saline County, southern Garland County as well. And we'll continue to see maybe some heavy snow up in far northern Arkansas. I think that's the case. So we're going to go ahead and zoom in over towards northern Arkansas. Okay, so far northern Arkansas. I think this is where we're going to see the heaviest of snow. North central Arkansas, Heber Springs, Clinton. I'm going to name some towns here. Marshall, Batesville, Mountain View and Mountain Home as well. And same thing over there towards Conway County, Russellville, Perry County, Logan County. I won't go too far to northwest Arkansas, but Fayetteville, Fort Smith, all of you, I think you're going to be snow. And same thing in northeastern Arkansas, I think it's going to be snow as well. But again, as I was saying, where we start to see a little bit of a challenging forecast is here in central Arkansas and southern Arkansas. It's because what's going to happen meteorology-wise is we're going to have we call it a warm nose, we call it warm air advection in the upper levels, and that's what's going to be occurring as we do go into this weekend. One of the best things I like about these live streams is that I can kind of go a little nerdy a little bit. So what are we taking into consideration here? That warm air loft, it's going to be there. How deep is it going to be, though? How thick is that warm air going to be? It's the snow, because all of it's going to start off as snow, and then in about maybe 4,000 to 6,000 feet into the atmosphere, you're going to see that warm air that's going to be maybe a degree or 2 degrees warm above the freezing temperature, 32 degrees. Is that snow going to have time to melt? Then it turns into rain, turns into liquid. And then below that warm air, which is going to be near the surface, and this is where we're most confident, it's going to be below freezing, and it's not going to be close. I mean, we're looking at lower 20s and teens as we head into Friday evening and into Saturday. So that's not the problem. The problem is how thick is that warm air loft going to be, and is it going to be enough to either melt the snowflake all the way or turning it into a liquid and then turning it into sleet. So that's what we're looking at here in central Arkansas. You know, one of the things that I've been talking about with Chief Meteorologist Todd Jacobian is evaporative cooling. I think that could be something to look at. Whenever you're looking at a degree or two in that part of the atmosphere, anything can happen. And maybe the guidance is not really picking up on that in regards to, maybe that's why you're seeing all this pink everywhere. I think that's what's happening in my own personal opinion. Only time will tell, though, so stay tuned. But if that's the case, and we do see an impact with that evaporative cooling, which is just basically the air surrounding that precipitation cooling, because as it falls, it's evaporating, and evaporation is a cooling process. And so I do think that could be an impact, and then that would mean more snow further south. We'll see if that pans out. Again, that's just a theory at this time, but I do think that that's something that we'll see pan out as we do go into Friday evening and to early Saturday morning. Now, the later in the cycle, Saturday evening into Sunday, I think is a different story. I think we're going to have a little bit more of that warm air to talk about and a lot more of that sleet. Let's pan down here to southern Arkansas. This is where I think we're going to have the most thick warm air loft, and this is where I think we're going to be getting that freezing rain down for areas such as Camden, Texarkana, El Dorado, Monticello, down towards Chico County, Deshay County, Drew County, Ashley County, Union County, Bradley County, all of these areas, even up towards Lincoln County as well. I think that we could get some of that freezing rain and sleet too. But again, by a few, like 50 miles or so, we could see a big difference from either freezing rain or sleet starting out. But by the end of all of this, I do think that we are going to see sleet and either sleet or snow for a majority of the state. So I hope I did not confuse you too much, but I hope that I did get to zoom in into your part of the state. And I don't want to forget our friends over in Mena. Mena, you're also on that transition line, but I do think you're going to see mostly snow rather than sleet. Hot Springs, you're in that transition line. I think you're going to see both heavy snow and heavy sleet at times, maybe more heavy sleet for your part of the state. And same thing over there for our friends in Stuttgart. You're on that transition line. I think more so sleet rather than freezing rain. Okay, so I hope I didn't confuse you too much, and if I did, I'm going to try to explain it a little bit better here, and I'll do it quickly, but this is kind of a visual representation of what I'm talking about in regards to that warm air loft. You see that area in red? That is to indicate the temperatures above freezing, and in our case, it's only going to be about a degree or two above freezing. It's not a lot, And just now really it determines, what determines all of this is how thick that warm air is going to be in that part of the atmosphere. If it's not very thick, the snowflake doesn't have time to melt, and it's all snow. So again, northern Arkansas, I think you're going to get all snow. North central Arkansas, I think you're going to get all snow. I wouldn't be surprised to see some sleet mixing in. And if we do have any sleet mixing in, it is going to impact snowfall totals, so remember that. Central Arkansas, this is where it gets tricky. You know, this is another thing I want to talk about. We have ways to observe the air temperature. We have balloon soundings that get launched every single day. But one of the key things is that's only about once or twice a day, depending on, what's occurring. Sometimes I do it a lot more than that. But, we don't have what I'm trying to get at here is we don't have a constant observation of the upper levels of the atmosphere. I don't know when that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime. It would be awesome. They're talking about, using drones to go up every few, but you got to talk about airplanes and all that other stuff. But it'd be really neat if it did happen in my lifetime. But that's when you're going to really start seeing some pretty accurate forecasts. But as of now, that's what we're battling against. So we don't have that type of data collecting at this time. So it makes this type of forecasting very tricky, and it's going to be tricky as we do go into the next 24 hours. So again, Central Arkansas, we are in that battle zone between sleet and heavy snow. Southern Arkansas, this is where it gets also tricky, between freezing rain and sleet. This could be an ice storm for far southern Arkansas. I want you to prepare for that. If you are in southern Arkansas, go ahead and prepare that there is going to be ice. Ice is a lot more dangerous. You're talking about power outages. You're talking about more treacherous driving. Let's hope that you get sleet, but it's always best to prepare for the worst and expect the best, and hope for the best, I should say. Expect the worst, but hope for the best is what I'm trying to say there. Okay, so I hope that helped clear up all that meteorology jargon. I know sometimes it's boring to people, and I get it. But I'm going to go ahead and show you the latest snow totals map here. Chief Meteorologist Todd Kobian and Chief Meteorologist Joe Young, we all have been pitching in on this. The whole Arkansas Storm team, Pat Walker, Jenna Warner, Juliana Collins, we all have been pitching in on this forecast. And I think this is a pretty good representation of what we just talked about. Again, north central Arkansas, this is where we're expecting mostly snow with some sleet from time to time. But this is where I think there could be some areas up to a foot of snow. So minimum 6 inches, maximum up to a foot, maybe even a little bit more than that. Central Arkansas, this is where it gets a little dicey in terms of whether or not we see 3 inches of sleet or 6 or 7 inches of snow. And again, it all depends on that warm air aloft. And the further south you go, the more you're going to have that warm air aloft, and the more you're going to have that sleet, freezing rain, snow mix, all of that. I don't think there's going to be any snow hardly down in southern Arkansas, maybe the tail end of it, but don't expect it, okay? So there is a look at the latest snow totals map, okay? And I hope that helped also clear up what I was trying to say and maybe gave it a little bit of a clearer view for your part of the state. If you want to stick with me, I will go through counties, and because I know that there's some folks out there that when you look at a map, it's overwhelming, but when you hear your county, then I know it helps a lot, okay? And I'll get a county map to make sure that I cross off every county, and we'll talk about it. All right, so here's a look at the winter weather impacts. Again, power outages, mostly for far southern and southeastern Arkansas. We got it at a medium as of now. Again, there's not a lot of confidence there that we're going to see an ice storm, but there's enough there for us to say, go ahead and prepare for that, okay? Prepare for some power outages. If you're one of those that need power, whether in regards to health, some folks out there need that power to keep things on, plan for there to be a power outage, just to be on the safe side. Closings, of course, there's going to be closings. Whether or not those closings occur early on Friday, that's up to administrators, of course. We don't have any say-so in that, but with this coming in Friday evening, I wouldn't be surprised to see some early closings. Now that I do think could happen, and same thing for some businesses. Travel is going to be impacted all throughout the weekend for the entire state, even going into early next week. We're not going above freezing, and I want to hit on this next point, freezing temperatures. We are staying below freezing for at least 72 to maybe even up to 80, 90 hours as we do go into this weekend to start next week. So anything that does fall, it's not going to be melting. We're going to be seeing a prolonged period of pipe bursting cold. So here's a look at the next 5 days where we've got high temperatures in the teens and 20s starting out on Saturday. So Friday night into Saturday, teens and 20s, and this is not the wind chill. This is the this is not the feels like temperature. This is the actual air temperature, okay? So when you get anything that falls at that temperature, it's going to have no problem sticking. And I want to point this out too. RDOT is doing their best to pre-treat the roads, and there's only so much you can do though when temperatures get this cold. You could put chemicals down, but there's even some chemicals out there that stop really being effective at a certain amount of temperature range, and I think that's what we're going to be seeing on Saturday. So keep that in mind if you are still planning to travel. Try not to, of course. Try to stay home. That is the best advice that we can give. Same thing for Sunday, and nothing's going to be melting this weekend. Same thing as we go into early next week. It's staying below freezing all throughout this weekend and into early next week as well. Okay, so let's look at the feels like forecast, and this is where things are looking really cold. Again, I'm just hitting on the freezing temperatures right now because we're going to have wintry precipitation on the ground, whether it's in the form of ice in southern Arkansas, sleet south central into central Arkansas, snow in north central into northern Arkansas, or western Arkansas, all of it. It's just, depending on where you are in western Arkansas, south central western Arkansas, which would be over there towards DeQueen and Sevier County, Howard County. I think you're going to get mostly sleet as well. And as we go into south central eastern Arkansas over towards Phillips County, DeShay County, more of a sleet freezing rain, okay? But my point here is there's going to be some type of wintry precipitation on the ground in Arkansas as we go into this weekend. You're going to add winds on top of that coming from the north, surface winds. It's going to make it feel even colder out there, okay? So I'm going to continue this. This is stopping on a Saturday in the afternoon and now fast-forwarding it to Sunday after all that wintry precipitation is on the ground. We've got feels like temperatures, so the wind chill is going to be in the negatives. And I know a lot of folks out there say, I always get a hard time for posting these out there, but it's a very important thing to take into consideration. I know that the actual air temperature may be only in the teens, but you add the winds on top of it. The winds help pull that heat from the body, and that makes it dangerous. That causes hypothermia more quick, and a lot quicker. So keep that in mind, okay? And I do anticipate there to be some negative feels like temperatures out there, okay? So negative wind chills in northern Arkansas, if not negative teens. I know, like I can just hear it in my head, people complaining about me showing this, but I'm going to show it because when you're looking at feels like temperatures this low, you're looking at hypothermia that could set in as quickly as 15 to 30 minutes, okay? Remember that because there's going to be a lot of kiddos out there wanting to play in the snow. There's going to be even adults too. You're going to want to go play in the snow. But also there's going to be folks out there that have to work in this stuff too for prolonged periods of time. So remember that hypothermia at this low temperature and wind chills can set in within 15 to 30 minutes, okay, which is a very big hazard. And we're also going to be seeing a lot of ponds freezing over, a lot of streams freezing over as well. So kiddos, if you have any kiddos, make sure that they are not walking on the ponds. I would not trust anything across the state. We're not going to be cold for more than a week or two. This is mostly for about 4 or 5 days. Not enough to be safe on those ponds. Don't do it, okay? That is a big hazard, and it's happened a lot in the past, and it's a very tragic situation, okay? So now fast-forwarding it again for Monday morning. So again, very cold temperatures. That is also another story that we are really hitting on with this winter weather event. It's a big winter weather event. It's not anything that we haven't seen. I've seen people saying this is historic. I don't want to say that because who remembers 2021? I mean, that was historic. Now, that was a crazy because we had 2 waves of wintry precipitation over about a week period and even lasting over 2 weeks for some areas. Now, that was historic. But this, we get this kind of stuff from time to time in Arkansas. Don't let anyone scare you. We're used to it. We know that there's snow that happens every year. But with this being the first winter system and with how this season has gone so far with all this warm air, a lot of folks have let their guard down, and we don't want that to happen. So just make sure that you're taking the warning, preparing, get stocked up with plenty of food, plenty of water. Check on your family, your friends, your neighbors. And I'm leaving this temperature graphic up for a moment because I want to talk about pets as well. Make sure that your pets have a warm place to stay. I know if you're hearing this, you probably don't have to hear that, but let your neighbors know if you see any pets outside, let them know cold air is coming, okay? And you're going to want to, folks are going to want to make sure that those pets are taken care of. It's just very sad to see animals out in this kind of cold. And also the pipes as well. Again, this is pipe bursting cold. You're going to want to make sure everything is prepped and ready to go before Friday evening. So that is a look at the temperatures there as well. I am going to now show another model, and this is an in-house model that we have, and we are going to talk about start times, and I'm going to grab, I'm pretty sure I can remember all the counties like the back of my hand, but I want to make sure that I don't leave any counties out whenever I'm talking about this. I'm going to try to name it off the top of my head, okay? Western Arkansas, so we've got Mena, and, my map here is frozen. Let's see. It's okay, because it started around 4 o'clock. Let me go and try to fix that real quick. There we go. All right, it was frozen on me. Let's make sure that don't happen again. All right, there we go. Let me try to restart that, and we're good now. Okay, starting out now again, Mena, Polk County, Scott County. We've also got Sebastian County. We've got all the Crawford County, Washington County, Benton County, Franklin County, all of over into western Arkansas. I do think that you're going to start out as some sleet as we do go into late Friday afternoon and into the early evening time period. Southwestern Arkansas, so over there towards Sevier County, Howard County, Little River County, even over towards Miller County as well. I do think you're also going to be getting in on some freezing rain to start out, okay? Maybe even some sleet too, and that starts out as early as Friday late afternoon and into the early evening. Instead of this map, I think I might show, no, I'm going to update that later, so I won't show it. I'm going to go ahead and keep on this model here. So now we're going to go ahead and go into the early evening time period. You can see it pushing into more of central, south central, and north central Arkansas. So areas over towards Hot Spring County, even over there towards Jefferson County, Pulaski County, Saline County, Dallas County as well, Ouachita County, Bradley County, Southern Arkansas. You're all included in this time frame here, but I do think early evening into the mid-evening, we're going to start to see some of that freezing rain and sleet, and then transitioning to mostly sleet for that part of the state. Far southern Arkansas, starting as freezing rain and staying as freezing rain all throughout Friday evening, and even going into Friday night into early Saturday, and then maybe even transitioning to that sleet finally as we go throughout Saturday morning. So that's down there towards Union County, also Columbia County as well, Ashley County, Bradley County, and I think I already said Ouachita County, Calhoun. I don't believe I said Calhoun County. But you're also, again, those are the areas that we're watching for that freezing rain into sleet. Now let's push up to north central Arkansas. I think it starts in the evening of Friday, so mid to late evening, north central Arkansas up towards Faulkner County, White County, Cleburne County, Van Buren County, Conway County, and even over there towards Pope County, Yell County, and Perry County. I think these are going to be the areas that we start out as sleet, but then transition to snow Friday night, and same thing in northern Arkansas there towards Fulton and Baxter and Marion County as well. We are all snow as we go into Friday night to early Saturday. I'm not going to touch too much on eastern Arkansas in terms of every single county. We're going to call it the Delta, okay? So I don't want to annoy you too much, but I'll give a few counties out there. St. Francis, Lee, Phillips, even up there towards Crittenden County, Mississippi County, Poinsett County, Craighead County, Fulton County, and Clay County. I'll give a few counties there. There we go. Up in that area, starting out as sleet, but then transitioning to snow as we go into Friday night to early Saturday. Everyone is covered in some type of wintry precipitation on all of the day Saturday, okay? Driving is going to start to become treacherous as we go throughout Friday night to early Saturday, and will stay that way throughout the entire weekend. So I hope that going through the state like that helped you out a little bit. I know it sounds silly, and if you're one of those that know where your location is on the map, please forgive me, but I want to make sure that this message gets out to everyone, because there are some folks out there that just know what county they live in and maybe don't look at maps every day, and that's okay, because not everyone has to look at a map every day. So just wanted to make sure I got that out there too. Thank you so much for trusting the Arkansas Storm Team. Thank you for tuning into this Arkansas Storm Team Live. We're going to be here with you every step of the way as we do go into this weekend. Stay tuned. There are going to be a little more changes with the snow forecast map as we get closer. We're going to get more data in, and we'll hopefully be able to forecast a little bit better of the temperatures aloft. And we'll have more updates as we do get into this evening on KARK 4 News at 10, also on Fox 16 News at 9 as well. And also in the morning, too. We'll have updates on the morning newscast on KARK 4 today, and also Fox 16 News in the morning, too, from 7 till 9 o'clock. Thank you again, folks. Stay safe out there and stay tuned for the latest updates.